I've always thought about grief as being a process that has a beginning and an end. And something that has been slapping me in the face in the last few months is that sometimes it's just not true. I've come to terms with the reality that I am living with a broken heart, and I will most likely live the rest of my life this way, because the things that have transpired in my life that have broken my heart, that have damaged my soul, they're not repairable. They're things that are indefinite and irreversible. And let me just say this up front. This is not about my sob story. I know I've had a trying adult life, but there are so many people that have it much worse than me, that have gone through way more trauma and tragedy than I have. The reason I'm making this video is so that someone may possibly find a level of comfort and the acknowledgement that they are not alone. You know, when someone goes through something, if you have a friend or a family member that goes through something really difficult or traumatic, in our minds, we come in really close at the beginning to that tragedy. We're there to support them financially, emotionally, physically, we're there with them. But as time goes on, even in my mind, I think that that person has processed whatever that event was. You know, it may be a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But what I'm beginning to realize is that people who experience really traumatic events, they live with a broken heart chronically, indefinitely. There is no end in sight. For example, 7 years ago, I lost my fourth child at 3.5 years old. And while I don't have the same intensity of grief that I did a few months after she passed away, I live every day with a part of my heart that is damaged and broken to pieces. When I think of her, when I'm reminded of her smile, the pain, the emotions, the memories rush in as if it was just yesterday. And in all honesty, that's not going to go away. Another part of my heart that is broken and will not mend is I'm divorced. When my wife told me she wanted to divorce me, there was a shattering of my soul. And while, yes, I have done a lot of healing work, I'm in therapy, I am exercising and doing everything in my power to support my mental health, the reality is I am no longer a husband. And there's a death, there's a grieving, there is an absence of a role that I used to play in life for 15 years that is no longer here. And in the midst of all of that craziness, my son was diagnosed with leukemia. Yet another blow to my soul. In all honesty, I still haven't even processed that my son had cancer. I still have not processed the pain and the injustice of a child getting a chronic illness that has taken away some of the best years of his life. He was diagnosed when he was 12 years old. He's 15 now, still in treatment. And that is an area of my mind, my psyche, that I need to work on. It's something that I am talking to my therapist about right now, because there was so much shit going on in my life at that time that I couldn't even think about the devastation that was happening to my son. Because there's one thing I have learned, is that going through my pain is so much better than watching one of my children go through pain. So why am I saying all of this? Why am I making this video? Well, the short answer is that living with a chronic broken heart is very difficult, very challenging. I'm in constant pain. Like, even if it's very subtle, there is constant throbbing within the recesses of my soul. And again, that's not going to go away. But what I have found is that living with a broken heart has enabled me to grow immensely in areas of compassion, empathy, and understanding. I now know what other people need and or want when they're going through something traumatic. And I can be someone that can be an agent of change and provide whatever that is that they need. They don't have to tell me. I don't need to read a book. I've been through many shitstorms, and so I am fully aware of what someone needs as support during those difficult times. While I would never wish any of these events on anyone, going through them and coming out on the other side, I have a level of gratitude because I see people so different now. I see through the physical appearance and through their eyes and into their soul. And if you're someone who can identify with this idea of living with a broken heart, there is an opportunity there for you as well, for you to be that strong one for someone else. And truthfully, I have never found any greater joy and level of fulfillment and satisfaction than when I am giving of myself to someone else. So I'm in the process of accepting and understanding what this means for me and for the rest of my life. I've learned to live in pain. I've learned to tolerate it. I've learned to cope with it. And I have settled with the fact that it is not going to go away. Yes, I will have some days that are better than others, but that fundamental part of my soul is broken and it is not repairable. It's a hard reality for me to come to terms with. It's a hard thing for me to recognize. But as I've been thinking about this the last few weeks, it actually brings a level of freedom and understanding to myself to know this is what it is. I have a broken heart and it's not going to get better. I live in a constant state of grief. And for me, that's okay. I can use the experiences, the trauma, and the pain to motivate me to be there for just one other person who's going through something like this. So I guess at the end of it all, I just want you to know that you are not alone. And if you're someone who is living in pain, you're experiencing constant grief, there are many of us out there that are in the same boat. And your life can be used in an incredible way to impact someone else's life that's in the middle of their shitstorm. I live every day with the reality that life is short, that it's not promised to us, and that it's unjust. There's no way around. I now live every day with the reality that life is unjust, unpredictable, and really fragile. If me sharing just a small part of my story resonates with you, please feel free to leave some comments below, because that's what community is all about. We find health, healing, solace in one another. Thanks for stopping by today. My name is Joey, and you've been watching Joey Talks, where we talk about mental health for the everyday person.